Now let's talk about shadows now. This will be our third video, okay? A shadow is the dark area formed by an object. Now we all have a shadow when we stand under the hot sun. Sometimes the shadow can be long, sometimes the shadow will be short. Now, when is it long, when is it short? I will do a separate video to explain how should you draw your shadows during the exam, okay? Light travels in straight line. Now, remember this sentence is really important, especially during explanation. You must always begin with your explanation by saying, light travels in a straight line, and then you go on and explain, okay? When light is completely or partially blocked by an object, a shadow of the object is formed. Now, for us, all of us, we are opaque. So, if we are opaque, means we do not allow light to pass through. When we do not allow light to pass through, then we form a shadow that will be dark, very dark shadow, okay? Now, for certain objects, like let's say, we can say a tracing paper. Now, tracing paper actually allows sunlight to pass through. When they allow sunlight to pass through, they also mean that they also block sunlight from passing through. If they block sunlight from passing through, of course you're going to see a shadow, but a very light shadow instead, okay? At any point of time, if you need to stop the video and replay the video, make sure you do that. Because, like I say, this kind of video is good because, anytime you think you miss out on something or you lose your focus, remember, replay, okay? Now, let's continue with this, shapes and sizes of shadows. Now, for this slide here, I will just read through the slide. I'll do another separate video just to explain how do you get big shadows and small shadows, okay? The position of the object can affect the shape of the shadow. When the object is placed at a different position, it can form shadows of different shapes. This is the milk tin, so you can see the shape. If I rotate the milk tin, this is another shape that I will be looking at. The position of the light source can change the size of the shadow. Now, we are going to do this on a separate video. Let me just explain this first. Then after that, I'll teach you an easy way on how do you remember when do you get a big shadow, when do you get a small shadow. When the light source is closer to the object, the shadow of the object becomes bigger. You see, light source closer to the object shadow of the object becomes bigger. So telling you, the light source, meaning light source up there, if it's closer to the object, for example the pencil, then the shadow will become bigger. Okay, that's what they're trying to say. So let's take a look at this example. Example number 1. Let's take a look at the light source and the object, and then the size of the shadow. Take a look at the second picture. Now, I've moved the torchlight. You see the torchlight being moved closer to the object. Now look at the shadow. Is it smaller or bigger? Definitely bigger, right now, okay? The position of the light source can change the size of shadow. Let's take a look some more. When the light source is further away from the object, the shadow of the object becomes smaller. Just now, we say that we move the light source closer to the object. Now, we move the light source further away from the object. Let's take a look. So this was the original picture. The torchlight, the object, the shadow. Now let's take a look. Look at this. The distance is now further, the light source is now further from the object, and we have a very small shadow here. Do you see that? And we have come to the end of the slides. Now let me just do a quick recap. Light is a form of energy. Light source, so we have sun, star, fire, lighted torch, lighted candle, burning wood. Now, very often I have pupils asking me, what about moon? How come it's not stated here? Remember, moon does not give off light. In fact, moon by itself is always dark. It doesn't glow. Why is it that we can see the moon? Now, let me explain that. That's because the light from the sun shines onto the moon, and it gets reflected into our eyes. When it gets reflected into our eyes, that's why I can see the moon. Okay, so you see, we can use the exact explanation that I taught you a moment ago to explain how come we can see the moon, although the moon does not give off light at all. Okay, then we continue. Light enables us to see when an object reflects light into our eyes. It also enables us to see when an object gives off its own light. Now, so always remember, in this world there are two types of object. One object gives off their own light. The second type of object reflects light into our eyes. Okay? Now, then we talk about different materials. This is talking about transparent materials. Clear glass, clear plastic. Take note, whenever we talk about transparent material, you need to add in the word clear. Clear glass, clear plastic. Okay? And remember, transparent material means allow most light to pass through. Tin cloth, frosted glass, tracing paper. Now, these three, of course, they are our translucent materials or our translucent objects. They allow some light to pass through. Okay, always remember that. And of course, coming to the opaque materials, ceramic, wood, metal, some types of plastic, cardboard, and clay. They are your opaque materials because they do not allow any light to pass through. And finally, when we have translucent object or opaque object, then we will form shadows. Remember, if it's a translucent object, we have a light shadow. If we have an opaque object, we get a dark shadow. Do you understand this? And we are done. Bye!